Hello, hello, hello. If you late, it's not your fault because we early. Ha!
Yeah.
What happened
But
there?
then you're not hearing this if you're late.
It's for whoever late, whoever early. Whatever. I'm not. I don't feel like in charge. I'm here
Yeah.
doing this stuff. Anyways, hello. We
Hello.
have Sleepy in the garden in the sun,
Yes.
and then we have a comic crack in his dungeon. Not
That's
dungeon.
right.
It's not a dungeon, is it? It's just
It's
a
the
room.
crack den.
It's a crack den.
Yeah.
It is supposedly 92 degrees here at the moment, going up
Oh.
to 99.
Wow,
Crap.
that's
Celsius.
hot, eh?
That's
That
hot.
is hot.
Especially
Yeah,
here.
That's freaking hot. Yeah.
because you
Global
just like
warming, good times.
Yeah.
It's the heat waves. You have a heat wave.
Yeah, we're having our first heat wave of the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Canada is enjoying his heat wave as well.
It's warm. It's been kind of crummy though. Like we had some rain today. It was kind of pretty windy today and kind of cool this morning. So it's up and down.
So Terrence is in the middle of the continent, and I'm on the edge. So
Yeah.
we are in different weather zones.
Yeah.
So usually, if Terrence is suffering, they're probably suffering in Chicago and places like that too.
Yeah.
But we're more in the California
Yeah. Yeah.
area.
The part of the world that's going to fall off the country. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be washed away.
Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly.
Damien, we're hearing doubles.
You're hearing that?
Yeah, maybe. Do you have something else connected?
I don't, but let me try.
I don't want you.
In the heat, I didn't want to do it, but I'll try.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't want it to even offer.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, there you go. Oh, you
Looks
see?
nice out there.
Did that help?
Yeah, we don't have it anymore. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I guess I have to do the headphone when I'm on the iPad.
Okay, interesting.
hoping
Yeah, it's
maybe
kind of
that-
weird with iPads. I think it's kind of odd with them. The audio is always like once I did a test by myself, like doing like iPad and like camera like that, and the echo was so intense. I was like, "Fuck this!" I just canceled everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like 5 seconds
Right.
almost, so I didn't
But
do it.
I did not perceive the echo
Yeah.
without the
Well, you
headphones
see.
on. But anyway,
Yeah.
luckily I have the headphones, so
Thankfully, you're so prepared. You see, even in the garden, you're still prepared with your headphones.
been doing this a long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, all the expertise is coming through. Okay,
Thinking
so
I wasn't going to be on the show, I failed you, and I did not watch Doctor Strange. But you can spoil anyway, and I will just tune out.
Well, we can talk without spoilers. I mean, we know all the spoilers, but I honestly, I was loving it. I was
Yeah.
surprised at first, like Terrence was mentioning. We were talking afterwards, like that it was quite slow at the beginning. You say it was like like always that Disney thing. I just don't like it anymore. I started noticing way too quickly. You know, that teetering beginning, and then suddenly they just pay off. But then the teetering thing, people's patience is kind of like slim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also a side effect of making everything 2.5 and 3 hours long. You know, like get a fucking editor. You know, because that first 20 minutes,
right?
The first 20 minutes did make me a bit nervous because it was really slow. Like, yeah, there were some nuggets that you had to have in there. Sure, I see that. But you could have still done something, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel that with this length of time that everything is these days, it's just, there's not as much that's kind of hitting the cutting room floor to tighten up the story. Not that everything has to be 89 minutes either, but there's got to be some balance in between those. But I mean, thankfully, like once that kind of chunk ended, then it started picking up. And then it seemed like every 15 minutes or so, it picked up a little bit more until like I was thoroughly enjoying it. I was having a quick chat with and I thought that was hilarious. I loved that because the first thing I thought with that scene was, man, the comic bros are gonna hate this, and that gave me even more pleasure about it, you know, because it was just outstanding. Anyway, that part we won't spoil, but it was funny to say the least. I laughed out loud in the theater.
Oh, look, for the love of comics.
Hello, for the love of comics.
Hey, he's in the US right now.
Yeah, so he's
get
not
out of town.
sleepy. Yeah, he's.
I think he's in your time zone, Terrence.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you
Drive
go.
north.
Then you'll see the good shops.
Yeah.
I actually.
Yeah, so I
was
mean, it felt like it just got better near the end, thankfully. And the only other minor quibble that I had was the character named America Chavez, because there was like this speech at the end, and it was like this, "Hey, America, you can do it," and it was it made me kind of nauseous a little bit. That sort of like, because it was just it seemed like such a bludgeoning kind of message to send, right? Like when the character's literally named America. It was a little too much for a lowly Canadian like myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about that part.
So it's nice to see you here, and you're not sleepy, or you don't have to go crazy hours to watch this.
Yeah.
So,
you should jump on.
Yeah.
Well, if you do want to, we have space. Yeah. Young Avengers, this is the way paid forward for Young Avengers, basically, with that character coming into fruition. I think that's that one thing for people to know. I think for me is I always think, but I think Sam Raimi always have those cheesy moments he really loves, and that makes you all uncomfortable, or you have really good, like if you really like his movies, you definitely will have a really good laugh, or you enjoy it a lot. But some of the moments they make him like, that's like, why do I feel like that?
I think that was one of the things that I got such a kick out of too, because I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. Like Evil Dead #1 was kind of like that was a movie that shaped my horror movie watching when I first saw it. To this day, I'm still a huge fan of it. It still freaks me out a little bit, that original one. So it was really cool to see him doing kind of like, hey, what if we did an Evil Dead / Marvel movie? Because there was really some elements of that kind of era of Sam Raimi in this, which I got a huge kick out of. I know that's not going to resonate necessarily with all the people watching it, but there was a couple, and there was a good cameo in there that was really fantastic that I got a real big kick out of. Me and I think one other person in the theater laughed. I don't know how many other people knew about it. It doesn't matter ultimately, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a mark, as the kayfabe guys would say. I'm a mark for anything Doctor Strange anyway. So I was, once I got over the nervousness at the beginning and I got into kind of the rhythm of it, I loved it. I really had a good time with it.
That scene you're talking about, my husband is proper face blind. I was like waiting for his reaction, and he didn't react at all. I was like, don't you know who was that was? And I was, because me, I remember the faces, but my name, tell the name of the actor. Shit, I don't know the name of that. So I start to describe him, and while we're watching the movie, I start to describe the guy we just saw, and he's like, huh? And I was like, Google it. I want to watch this movie, but I need to tell you what you just saw. So, and then he got, absolutely, we actually had to rewind, which is beauty. I guess when you're in cinema, you can't rewind.
No, that's it. Yeah.
You can do that. We rewind a little bit, and then he's like, yeah, exactly. And he loved the all subtleties, the way they were talking about.
Yeah.
What he did to the character was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I'm looking for, like you said, once the end hit, I was kind of like, okay, give me the next one now. Like, look at this. What are you setting up here? So I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, especially with coming with Doctor Strange fans like we are. I mean, for me, the more obscure and bizarre the way they were doing it was working so well, because the character needs this kind of stuff. You can't have your nonchalant storyline on the Doctor Strange. It doesn't work like that. He's a magician. He's gonna have to go somewhere absolutely bonkers mad to get to the point. The way they did the villain, which I'm not gonna spoil it because I think it's kind of payoff to, actually for me it was really great because I didn't see those spoilers.
Yeah,
I was surprised they took that spin towards that character, especially. So, Damien, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I think
you just take my headphones off.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. I'm not going to say it because I think it's well worth to know this without spoiling it. Because, as I say, remember when the movie came out, I was telling you guys that everywhere I've seen the news and people are talking about it, like right, left, and center. I was like, please don't get me spoilers, because there's those moments where you get spoiled. You just look for it. You're
waiting for it. Yeah.
Right away while you're watching, it starts to like secretary. Oh, taking notes. Where is this gonna happen?
Yeah.
With the feeling, but thankfully I didn't have it, and I enjoyed it. As I say, it wasn't perfect to be quite honest with you. I think
of course not, but it's a movie, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get that kind of stuff from movies, but as a Doctor Strange fan, tip like spot on. Like
I was also glad to see the CGI kind of keep up the level. You know, I mean, there's always room in, as far as just me being a viewer, there's always room for them to go even more extreme. But I loved the bits of CG that they got, and you know, like it seems like they had some fun with that stuff. So.
I saw one moment they didn't work. Something happened in editing, but just one slight moment, because kind of like you're noticing, because in the especially when they do, we were spoiled with those crazy shots, like when he was like pushed away,
the trailer and stuff,
and stuff like that really works. But it's just sometimes you can just slightly see it. But
right.
Honestly, I still loved it. I think it was fantastic. To be honest.
Speaking of it all, I don't think I ever showed you this. We were supposed to. Yeah. I did end up getting a copy of the Doctor Strange. It's the Walmart exclusive. A friend of mine here in town, he does orders to a place called, is it the Big Box Toy Store or something like that?
Yes, that exists in America.
Someplace in the States, and he the beauty of it is you can build a box over 90 days, and he uses a postal service in the States, just across the border, and I think it costs him like $4 or something to ship a bunch of toys, because he collects and he sells locally and stuff too. So he had ordered a couple of these, and I managed to get one from him, which is great, because for me to get it shipped up here was just absolute madness. And plus the price, even on eBay, the price was a bit expensive. So I feel like I got a good deal on it, but it's a beautiful figure. And I think that one of the fun things that I love that they did was include the mask that he wears for a very brief time in those early comics. So you can change the heads, one with his eyes closed, and then he's got some stuff with him, which I just left in the box. But he's great. He looks great up amongst my other Doctor Strange figures up there, which is now, what do I got? 3 of them at this point. So, geez. Oh, no, 4 of them. Geez, I got 4 of them now. So, yeah.
So you have a lot of them now.
I've got, yeah.
Yeah, because
Doctor Strange fanatic.
Yeah. What's the tipping point where you become a action figure collector?
When you start looking at statues and really take a moment and consider. That's, I think, the tipping point, because that's what I've been doing with the statue that's coming out.
Start telling yourself you can resell those statues someday.
Exactly.
Profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, in a way, it's truth, but it's really not all of them does have the price tag back to what you have spent. But that's the one, the statue. Yeah, the Terrence statue he was talking about is from the movie, based on the movie one. Of the Doctor Strange, the way it looks is actually quite crazy looking, to be honest. Quite
looks
gnarly,
amazing. It looks amazing,
but it's
so goddamn expensive. It was like, what was it, almost $400 American?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's an epic.
And then imagine shipping if it has to.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it would be something that if I did, I would try to order it through one of my shops or something, because there's a couple of the shops that sometimes order that type of stuff in. So it would be a special request from my comic hookups.
I was trying to imply you wouldn't necessarily ever resell them, but telling yourself that you can resell them allows you to spend a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
That's how you suck yourself into it.
Totally.
It happens to me when I buy comic books. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. It's no problem.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to do this. It's too much job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's there's one statue they came out of Doctor Strange, which I always looked at it and I was like, oh shit, that's just really looks like what Doctor Strange I perceive to be kind of like what I like the look of. But it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You will just stand there, collect dusts, and you like start thinking on that sense, and he's like, oh, okay, teeter it down, my need. So actually,
then you're gonna need a glass case, and you're gonna need all this other shit, and it's like, nah, ain't gonna happen.
Action figures are still okay, but the one I always, like I told you about Shaolin Cowboy, but now it's like, because I'm an X-Men fan, and now Damien is having a book of probably a omnibus of X-Men, because
it's an X-Men omnibus I'm just using to kind of help me shade the iPad so I can see it better.
Yeah, The one I always like the Sentinel action figures, especially those the ginormous ones.
Yeah,
That would
I've seen those.
So they're coming out with the next year, or not next year, or this year, I don't remember. This tiny, you know, those three, like about 3 inches tall, those figures, the smaller versions, and they're coming out the Sentinel, but it looks horrible. It looks
Oh, no.
it looks like just like somebody just plastered 2 eyes on it, and it doesn't even have definitions on the helmet and anything. And I was like, for me as a collector, because I like X-Men first, and I always love Sentinel because of cartoons as well. Because of course that's what's just amazing when you were watching cartoons and those giant things, and Wolverine is like slashing on them. It's like just hilarious.
Yeah.
So I always wanted one of those action figures, but looking at that, it's like Jesus, it's crazy. But they never put them out, and there are one people always want as a collector to want to have that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie was here. Hello.
Hello, Jackie.
Good to see
you.
Yeah,
there used to be more channels of people showing off their statues, and I was constantly like putting on the mental brakes because I knew once you go there, how do you stop? They are extremely cool, but so expensive.
So expensive.
And also take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
I mean, since they're so large, you'd have to, I don't know, arrange a whole room so that you'd have a lot of spots to put a statue.
Yeah, I'd have to get rid of some books to put a statue, and that just ain't gonna happen. You know.
No, that's not gonna happen.
No way, man.
I don't know. You guys probably know the channel Gem Mint Collectibles.
Gem Mint.
The guy who gets like all the statues in the world, and
those
then
things
the biggest
are crazy. They're enormous. Some of those unboxes.
Right. And I'm told he now gets them for free.
Wow.
Because he's such a big channel, you know, promoting statues. So he gets them for free and then can sell them at a profit.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah, because you know Bueller is friends of Gem Mint, yes.
Yes, he talked to me. He's back in Portland, or has been back in Portland, and we talked about Gem Mint and his statues.
I see. So is he done his journey already? Is the fuel so pricey that he can't do it?
No, he's clinging to home. So he goes for 2 weeks. I mean, 2 months, and then he comes back probably for 3 weeks or something.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
He's got a lot of family here. Actually, it's not really us comic book geeks that come back. I know he's having a huge family reunion on the 4th of July. So
oh, nice. Yeah.
That was probably part of why he came back.
I see. Yeah. I wonder how that celebration is going to go these days after national news is everywhere plastered on it. But sorry, I'm not going to go political. I know why you mentioned it.
Well, it's still a family reunion for him.
Yeah. That's great.
For sure. Okay, so we talk comics, I guess. 17 minutes, and we haven't even talked one. We didn't even know one comic. That's a shame of us. I'm sorry, people. Who would like to try? Oh, maybe Damien. Let's give you.
Okay.
Because we need to keep you here, so we're gonna make you busy.
Hey, look at that.
I'm assuming this is out of print, but I don't even know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It just turned up at my shop, and it's used, and he was selling it for cover price, and which was only $12, I guess. You probably can't see it in my bad light. But so this is the section of Mr. X that was written by some Hernandez brothers and drawn by Jaime Hernandez.
Oh wow!
So I've always heard of Mr. X, but never read him before. Have you read him before, Terrence?
Yeah, I've got the first volume, and then Seth transitions early on to becoming the artist, and it's cool to see his art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's cool to see his art also kind of transition during the series. It's a fun read. It's a really fun read.
Yeah. So I have trouble saying what it's about, though. It's about this. I mean, it's about this guy who is one of the architects of this whole Radiant City that he believes, or they say, drives people crazy. Although we don't get a lot of that. Occasionally we see someone jumping off a building in the distance.
Yeah.
But somehow he thinks by taking this drug that will make him never fall asleep, that will help him fix the problem with the city. But the first few issues are really Mr. X going up against this kind of mob leader turned legitimate businessman here.
Okay.
And so it has interesting, quirky characters, which I guess you'd expect from the Hernandez brothers. And the plot feels kind of, there is a bit of a plot, but it feels like it kind of wanders. Oh, and my copy is falling apart.
Oh no.
You can't read it without the pages falling out. So
Is it like the way it was printed is a glued binding or something?
it's the old glued binding. The old glue has dried up and doesn't hold things together anymore.
Oh crap.
So I wish I had this in floppies, in other words, rather than in this old trade. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was just a way to read it. And it's funny, the Hernandez art here, the Jaime Hernandez art, I kept feeling like when I would put my brain in neutral, I kept feeling like I was reading a Steve Ditko comic. I don't know
Wow.
if you can see there.
Yeah, I could
This
see
kind of
that
looks
for
like
sure.
Ditko characters. Every once
Yeah.
in a while, there'll be a panel where I'll go, wow, that's very Hernandez Brothers.
Yeah.
But then other times I'll like that feels very Hernandez Brothers.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But then other times I'll feel like, oh, I'm reading. Like, look at this. Oh, can you see it? I can't see
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
This picture here, it just looks like a Ditko picture to me.
Mhm.
So it's kind of when you look at Hernandez, you're always like thinking about, what were his influences? There's some Archie in there. There's this and that. But now I'm just seeing a lot of Ditko.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it has some very interesting female characters, which I assume the Hernandez brothers fit in themselves because they're good at the female characters.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth reading. It feels like there was something else that could have happened here, something more that
Yeah.
never quite happens.
Mhm.
Like it's always on the verge of developing more of a plot or a theme. And I think one of the flaws is the big deal is supposed to be the city, right? It's Radiant City.
Yeah.
Two sort of, here's one picture where you do get a picture of the city, but a lot of times you just don't get a picture of the city. And it doesn't look maybe it looked that different in the early 80s. It doesn't look that different from other comic book cities to me. They do have these cool robots wandering around. He's knocked the head off this robot. These robots who are supposed to serve you, but really don't do much good. And this robot's been sent to beat him up, I think. So the interesting thing is the whole Mr. X is a creation of Dean Motter and Paul Ravoche. And at the back, they have drawings. So from what I read online, Dean Motter and Paul Ravoche were supposed to do this comic, but they could never get their act together to really get a full series of comics going. So they hired the Hernandez brothers to take over. But there's Paul Ravoche's drawings, which are very different, but very interesting and have a lot of, I don't know, kind of a European kind of look to them.
Absolutely.
So it would have been really interesting to see that. And I think eventually Paul Ravoche did draw some later issues. But whatever the concept that Dean Motter and Paul Ravoche worked on for a couple years feels a bit lost here.
Right.
I don't know. So I do want to dig up more. I think this entails the first 4 issues of the series, even though it's called The Return of Mr. X. So I do want to find, I think I'll look for floppies of the remainder of the series. So I'm very curious about it now. And like you said, Seth is on it, and then some other artists come on.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though, something that was created from the beginning by 2 other creators, and then they brought in the Hernandez brothers. It's an odd quirk of comics history. And apparently the Hernandez brothers left because they weren't getting paid on time.
Yeah.
Or maybe they cheated out of money. So maybe if they had stayed here, we would have less Love and Rockets. I don't know.
Yeah.
All that fits together. But it's I definitely recommend it if you can find it. There's some stuff that looks very Hernandez brothers. But yeah, it's really cool art. And it may be because the Mr. X character reminds me of a Steve Ditko character.
Yes.
This odd, obsessed person. That may have added to that Steve Ditko feeling of it. Anyway, a really cool book. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
You've maybe read the first 4 issues that make up this trade?
Yeah, I've got the whole, I think I'm missing just 1 issue from that first volume. So I've got everything in singles. Yeah, so I've read that stuff. Yeah, I haven't read any further. There's some I think there was some one-shot summer special type of things, and then there was another volume that I haven't read anything of, so I don't know how it goes there. And I mean, I would agree with you. That first volume, it is, you know, like you said, that's the plot. It sort of feels like it meanders a little bit, like, and it does pick up a little bit more. But honestly, it's more a book of like the design, and especially seeing Seth take it over and seeing him come into his style during that book is incredible to see that transition. And he really brings. It's pretty jarring at first when you transition to Seth from the Hernandez brothers, but you really start to feel like, oh wow, he's really making this book his own. You know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these drawings here make me think they want to kind of do a Fritz Lang kind of city or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think what it is conflicting creators, too many creators in the mix, maybe just it makes it interesting, but maybe not great.
Yeah.
At least at this point. And now I'd love to see the Seth stuff, and then when whatever issues Paul Ravoche actually probably in that volume 2 comes back.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Paul Ravoche elsewhere. Is that a name?
It's not a name that I can tell you much about either. Yeah, I think if Gore Vidal was here, he'd be able to tell us, because he raves about this book. He loves Mr. X.
So originally single issues, how many issues? 9, 12? How many?
I don't know. My list is on the. No, it's got to be almost 20. Volumes. I think. Yeah, there's got to be a bunch. It's all behind me here, unfortunately, not accessible. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was from Vortex Comics, which I guess was a brief in existence 80s indie comic.
Yeah, they did Yummy Fur as well. Chester Brown, Yummy Fur. Wow. Yeah.
So that's interesting. They were kind of a cross between the undergroundish people and the overground.
Yeah.
Kind of style.
So Gus is here. Mind the Comics.
Hello, G.
Chaos and Comics. Andrew Lopez.
Hello.
There you go. Some more people.
All the cool people, or more.
Everybody's here. Yeah.
More cool people in the gang in here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Nice to see you guys here. For seeing us. Okay, Terrence, what are you showing us?
Yes. So we had a bit of a yard sale. Before I talk about a book, we had a bit of a yard sale, and of course, what always happens is I made some money off of some books I was selling, and I went and bought a couple of books. And since Gus is here, I wanted to show this one. I was watching his video, and he was talking about this book, so I grabbed an English copy of it, and it looked incredible. Him flipping through it already. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me to grab it off the shelf. So I'm excited about that. And then I also grabbed the next book from Mikhail. It's this Boot Black. I've got his other book called Giant. Nice hardcover kind of format. I'm really looking forward to this one a lot. I really liked Giant quite a bit. So this one looks pretty great. I'll just show you a little bit of the inside. Beautiful art, really nice storytelling. Giant was a really, really touching story. But I mean, look at that water there. It's so great. So yeah, those were from the thank you to people who came and bought our shit so I could go buy more shit.
The cycle of shit.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of keeping in that vein, when I went to my comic shop on Wednesday, the one that's by the office, he had some books on sale, because that's the shop that unfortunately is closing down at the end of the year. Come December, that's going to be it. So we had a Black Sad on sale for $12 Canadian, I think is what it was. Regularly kind of $20 Canadian. Nice. So this is book 2, and I pretty much read it that night, I think. And it's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot to say about it that people have said way better than I. But the sense of animation and movement in this book is unreal. Like, look at that. That is someone getting knocked on their ass. There's no doubt about it. You can feel that. It's such a fun series. The characters are so fleshed out. The design on everybody is really great. This one, we're following around a circus as one of our main characters is kind of, without saying too much, there's a mystery going on. They're following this one guy, and they've kind of found him in this circus. There was another page I wanted to highlight here. This stuff, yeah, any of the kind of action and fighting scenes Oh, book 3. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Because the first one had 2 books in it. Yeah, the first volume.
Yeah. And then they say it's the 5th Black Star.
Beth, oh, okay. Oh, wow. Geez, Louise. Thank you very much, guys. But yeah, all of this stuff is really nice.
Hi, Paula.
So, I mean, yeah, again, it's not like it's a book that people that watch us won't know about clearly. So there's not too much to add to the conversation, but I absolutely love it. And if you haven't read any Blacksad, I would 100% just pick something up. It's really great.
I've been hearing about it for so long. I've gotten used to putting off reading it.
Yeah.
I got to get over that.
Yeah, no, you totally do. The other one is this one here is the other volume that I have.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I see
this
that
one has a
story.
couple. It's a bit thicker. It's got a couple of stories in it. So
Definitely highly recommended. Sure, you should go and read it now and go look, admire. I eat it, basically. You're going to eat it up. It's just how good it is. And Andrew Lopez saying he just looked up a synopsis of Ballad of Sophie and he might be more looking at it. There you go.
yeah.
It starts. We're going to give you some and then said, watch Peaky Blinders. I'm so
Oh, geez, yeah.
6th ballad, Blacksad, is divided in 2 volumes. The one out and great as always. Oh my God.
Okay.
This is on Hoopla, Damien.
Yes, it's on Hoopla.
Well, there you go.
Oh. Okay.
Something that good, I probably want to read physically, but I guess I could try Hoopla first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like everybody's talking about the Ballad of Sophie. Now I want to know the synopsis of this book, even though I saw it on Gus's video. But
it was. I think he was saying that it was an award winner as well too. It's not saying on my copy anyway about that, but it was either up for an award or it won an award. So yeah, I mean, him just showing the interiors and raving about it. I mean, there's just some people that we watch, if they're going to rave about something, chances are you got to pick it up. Yeah. Because I trust their judgment.
Yeah. Okay. So is it my turn? Okay. So what should I start? Should I show you what I haven't read yet?
Sure. Yeah.
This is my library haul. So I have a library which I've read and a library I haven't read. So I'm going to show you what I haven't read yet, but it's intriguing enough for me to share with you guys. So I guess I'm going to talk next time we chat. So the first one is Factory Summers by Guy Delisle.
Oh yeah.
Drawn Quarterly release. Is it brand like how old? It's very fresh.
Yeah, it's brand new, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out. Oh, it doesn't say in here. When did you released? Why are you not saying? It's 2020 something. It should be this year.
I think so because I'm pretty sure I saw it in the shelf at the bookstore today.
So my library is killing it. So I'm absorbing it as much as I can, basically.
Yeah.
And I think this is my favorite drawing style. So the more like minuscule and less intriguing, and especially those kind of like storylines from you're not mainly art like a DC or whatever Image or whatever that stuff. I really enjoy this. I haven't read anything about it yet, but this is something it drew me already, and it seems to be is right up my alley. So yeah, so this is one of the books I picked up. Oh my God, the library is going crazy. So another one.
Oh, nice.
Afternoon at McBurger's, Anna Calvan. And this one's Fantagraphics book. As well, I think it's very fresh.
I think Colin just showed it off in one of his videos recently.
Yeah, it's very, very fresh. So it's translated from Spanish by Jamie Richards, apparently. Really good. I mean, it's your color explode storyline. I guess it's really quick read, but I just didn't want to breeze through it and start talking to you about it. But yeah, I just couldn't look away from the colors.
Wow.
I wanted to just, but it seems to be intriguing enough, and it's very good. Like it's very nicely done. It's extremely thin, a couple of pages through, honestly, but very well done. Fantagraphics does really good job with the hardcovers, though.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Now, what is this? Magnetic. I'm not heard. Ashes.
Okay.
It's just this whole front cover. It just appeals so much to me because of the way the action happens straight at the cover. Is this fancy cut corner hardcovers.
Yeah.
The magnetic press.
Yeah, there you go. That's the
Touch.
one. Yeah.
They
So
always do those curved corners. Very
and
nice.
a bit of a post-apocalyptic story once again. Looks absolutely bonkers, but it looks fantastic.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it drew me in straight away. Really nice.
Hell,
scene.
you got a damn good library there, Rasa. Holy shit.
But look, I don't know what happened to them. They probably woke up finally and decided to actually put something really great. But
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. So I'm as I say, I'm absorbing it as much as I possibly can. And it seems to be quite intense, a lot of religion stuff. But as I say, it will be interesting to see what it's all about. Because I don't, as I said to you guys beforehand, I don't look a lot anymore into things. I just pick up whatever it just picks my fancy. This one is a bit older, definitely. What is this? Who's publishing this? Oh, St. Martin Press, New York. Rosalie Lightning, a graphic novel. New York Times. I don't know why it's plastered in there, but it's once again this art I'm very drawn into, black and white. Yeah, so it doesn't say much about what it is all about. I guess guys have to tell you when I read this. But another something interesting, intriguing me to pick it up, so I did.
Oh, Chaos is saying don't read it.
Don't.
Oh.
What does he mean by don't read it?
I'm not sure.
Well,
It'll burn
don't know
your
if it's a-
eyebrow-
burn
burn
after
your
doing that?
optic nerves out or something.
Oh my god! So I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
have.
Depressing.
I'm just gonna buy a box of tissue, and just
Yeah.
invest in that before I do that. And
Yeah.
my last but not least, John and Cape production is, I guess, English. It's Bastien Vives, Paulina. A very young girl, Paulina Olenov, is taken on a special pupil by famous ballet teacher professor. He's very demanding and refuses to adapt to his standards. I don't know why, but it's very appealing to me. As I say, once again, very.
That looks very neat. Yeah.
Something like, not every time I look at it before. Now it always gets my attention. I always gives me a chance to basically to see it first in the storyline, and then absorb it properly.
Very nice style.
What an interesting look to that girl's face in there. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very, as I say, Jonathan Cape Press, which is kind of like English in Vauxhall.
Your library is cutting edge.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's impressive.
Well, because I'm going that direction at this moment. I don't even look at much of
The Marvel and
superheroes.
DC.
Yeah, I am. I'm more and more interested in that shelf part where most of the people don't look at. So, so before I finish, I'll show you the book I actually read. So, Good Night Hem by Jason. So, disclosure: this is my first exposure to Jason. I've never read any Jason stuff, and I wasn't aware of his one character that he's using in many of his books production, which he is partaking in his in his storyline. But this story is about Ernest Hemingway, and he's like 3 short stories of him being in those Pamplona area, World War II. And then in Cuba, so all those kind of like you're known
Wartime stories.
Yes, in a way, but you're known kind of dates what you're kind of aware of if you studied a little bit and somebody actually gave you a history lesson properly, so you understood where it comes from. But anyway, so I was surprised how minimal you got from the characters, especially characters-based stuff. But I honestly tell you, at first I was kind of confused to where I'm going at, because first Ernest Hemingway is an American what is poet, isn't it? Is that
novelist and short story writer.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Extremely famous in the 20th century, a little bit faded now.
Yeah, well, there you go. So maybe that's what it is. But honestly, if you start following the characters, you get involved in the story where they go and have a seat, and then your Jason character, guy who basically a musketeer looking character, comes in to join them and gets involved in the storyline where they try to basically just having a drink, and then he gets really like one of the members gets really drunk, and then a stranger decides to take the friend, good Samaritan, take the friend to his place, and other friends like just don't care, like, hey, you can just take him, and the just story goes from there. But honestly, all the three short stories was entertaining, and I think the first one wasn't as great for me as or the next two, because I don't know, it just felt a little bit too dragged out for me. But as a first experience for Jason, I really enjoyed it. I had a laugh. I had moments of like this weird part where the musketeer changes because they look kind of the same. It's kind of like joke, like even the writer like, okay, so we look actually like the same, like you have the same look. And then let's swap the wife because I'm feeling unhappy. So he swaps, and the musketeers basically have sex with his wife, and he's okay with that. And he's like, oh my god, okay, what's going on here?
And the wife doesn't notice the difference?
Yeah, she doesn't know the difference. That's the thing.
Every man's fantasy that your wife won't know the difference.
Yeah, but then he gets punched, like they get an argument when they meet back afterwards, they like almost a brawl. It's just interesting. And the musketeer guy tries to kill himself, jump from the bridge, so we help him to like, let's just listen to me, like, what's happened to you, why are you so unhappy? And there's a little bit of that, but honestly, it's well worth the read. Of course, if you get from your library, it's definitely, go have a look and experience it. But I like, honestly, it breezed through me, and I was very satisfied at the end of the day. So I am very happy that this library of mine now is having so many things to go for.
I
And
think
I can
he's
experience it all. Yeah.
I think he's one of the favorites of For Love of Comics.
Yeah.
His favorite
He's
cartoonist.
already saying yay for Jason. Yeah.
So I'm confused. Is Hemingway a character in the story, or are they adopting some Hemingway stories?
No, he's actual character inside it.
Okay.
He's part of everything. He gets he's in all three stories as far as we know. So so you see the first story he was writing is almost halfway through the book, and those two other stories are quite short. So maybe that's why I felt it was overly lasting, and it didn't give me much impressions. But the second two just saved kind of the book for me. So yeah.
And the usual sort of standard view of Hemingway is that he's very macho. Was that an aspect of the book?
I don't know if I felt that way, but especially because of the only thing what really surprises me that he's swapped the guys. Like, okay, I just feel like I need a break, and he goes in and have sex with like the other guy just goes and have sex with his wife. So it's like, maybe you can do it for me, kind of thing. Okay.
Hemingway had at least 3 wives. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. But anyway, but honestly, as an experience of it, it's. I mean, I honestly want to know more about that character now, Musketeer, because it's more intriguing for me after, because knowing that how much he's putting him in his own books, and this art style, it works for me so well because of the stories he's trying to tell. So it's nothing overly blown and complicated, but it's just enough of the laughter and humor and conversations between what keeps my basically attention forward. So I'll definitely going to be on the lookout. Hopefully the library will have something more of Jason, maybe earlier stuff, because kind of like I even read reviews, like of this book, and everybody's saying like if you enjoyed at least a little bit, because nobody's saying very good things about this book in particularly, but say if at least it was intriguing enough for you, go back to earlier stuff, which will be much more intriguing to you. Well, that's what people recommend. But I don't know. Look, this is my experience. I definitely had the kick of it. So it wasn't like I didn't feel like I wasted my time. I didn't feel like it was something I was like, why did I even decided to read it? Kind of thing. But it actually wanted me to go forward and actually explore the writer more. And especially what he done beforehand, because this is fresh. It just came out, I think, recently as well.
Yeah. So you didn't come in with baggage of what you expected Jason to be, which
no,
other people did.
Especially when they like Jason is like, okay, okay, Jason. So I just picked it up. This kind of thing, intrigues me, especially, like the things what, not that even as Hemingway was what I wanted to read about. It's just, I don't know, as a package itself, the size of the book worked for me. Everything, that kind of thing, as I started to realize, kind of important for me, because it just stands out. You want it to be stand out from the shelf, and you look at something, whatever, it's not your typical size, and this is basically what it is. It's really small in comparison to the other book I will be talking about. Look at this.
So why do you think it's called Good Night Hem? It's not like Good Night Moon or something like that.
I honestly don't know. I haven't thought about that, to be honest. I'm sorry, but
I was a huge Hemingway fan in my 20s, so I'm just curious.
You should definitely read it, because it would be extremely interesting for me to know what you felt about it, because especially they're using the character like that, and the dates of what things happened.
Okay, right.
So, it's up to you, but if you can find it.
No, I definitely want to read it. I've been wanting to read Jason ever since seeing For Love of Comics rave about it.
I really enjoy his drawing style. As I say, I'm starting to kind of I always been, and I think from the beginning of me reading comic books, I always like that very clear, like almost recognizable faces. I always been like into color and all that stuff. But now being, I guess, like doing this chat with you guys more and more, and influenced by your taste and stuff, and me just being able to explore in my library, opened my eyes to a lot of more things, what actually is entertaining and what's actually pleasing to my eyes. It's kind of two different things sometimes. So
it's an ever evolving journey too, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh yes.
There's so many different ways to approach story or visuals.
Oh
yeah.
And then I'll show you the other things. There's another story as well, which is really plain storytelling. It's almost no expressions whatsoever in the face, but the story it made me intrigued. Like, it was intriguing enough for me. It's like, huh? Why do I like this so much? But yes, as an overall book, it was just perfect, honestly, in any way. So yeah.
Cool.
Oh, look, they're telling us where there are 2 books featuring Athos, the story of Athos, an American novel. Okay, I'm gonna definitely need to look.
Based on the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
So he likes to play with literary history in some.
It looks like it. Yeah, he does like to put his character in there and so Jason was born in Norway in 1965. He's now lives in south of France. And if he traveled in time machine to Paris in 20s, he most likely wouldn't get along with Hemingway. Since he's not a fan of bullfighting or hunting or boxing. Possibly he would beat Hemingway in chess, but time machine doesn't exist. So. And actually, there's previous books. Actually, there you go. I should just take a note. There's previous books of what he produced. So it's quite a lot. I mean, more than 10.
Yeah.
So, Last Musketeer, Pocket Full of Rain, and other stories. I killed Adolf Hitler. You know, that time, gang. Why are you doing this? So there's lots of things. So I definitely gonna be on the lookout for the Jason guy.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go. So right.
I don't think Chaos and Comics likes Jason as much as some people.
No. Yeah.
But it seems like he does like it.
It's not for everybody, I guess. So whatever.
Well, I went to the library too.
Oh yes, good.
Library too, and Julie Doucette books.
Nice.
I am in total ignoramus, and these are what the library had. She recently won the Angoulême Grand Prix award, and is only the 3rd woman, I think, to do it.
Wow.
And I was listening to this podcast from Publishers Weekly that I like to listen to, and they said, and of course everyone loves Julie Doucet, and that's so long in coming. And I'm like, oh, I feel like an idiot. I've never heard of it. So I mean, I must have seen her comics along the way. Because apparently some of this stuff may have been published in Weirdo, which I used to get way back when. That Robert Crumb edited comic book Weirdo. And so anyway, but I think her most famous book is called Dirty Plot.
Yeah, that's right. Dirty Plot. Yeah.
My library did not have that.
Yeah. I can't imagine they would.
She has this one, which is a fumetti
Mhm.
called Carpet Sweeper Tales. And if I did not know she was one of the most famous women in the world, that's a
Mhm.
joke, but well, famous comic book artist internationally, I
Uh-huh.
would have thought this is just a random collage book. I
Uh-huh.
have not
Yeah.
read the whole thing. It doesn't feel readable. It feels like she got these pictures out of Italian fumetti, and then she had a magazine and newspapers, and she clipped out whatever words were at hand, put
Right.
them up here in case they might be ironic, and
That's
then used
interesting.
some other words on the next page.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe so. I didn't really read this. So maybe I'll go back and try again.
Uh-huh.
It just felt random.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting in a, maybe for 20 pages, but when you're facing a 184 page book of random collages,
Right.
I don't know, maybe something develops. It
Yeah.
says it's about, modern romance and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she obviously does not have a straightforward take on romance. So then the other one I got, which the other person who inspired me to look and see if the library had it was Colin from Loading the Cannon.
Mhm.
He talked about her when he was doing that 100 best comics of all
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
list, and
Mhm.
she was on it pretty high. And he also spoke of her in glowing terms, and as if everyone should know who she is. So
Mhm.
again, and I enjoyed this. I've only read half of this, so I just got these yesterday or the day before. I think yesterday. But I enjoyed this quite a bit, and this definitely feels like the kind of thing I might have read in Weirdo or somewhere else like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just not. I don't know why it didn't stick in my head. I really, really like the artwork. Although I'm not sure if she's the only one with this style.
Mhm.
Like, have I just seen her scattered through the years and thought it was a bunch of different people?
You've
Same
more than
style
likely seen
art.
her scattered through the years. She appeared in
Yeah.
so many kind of comics anthologies in like the 90s
Right.
and things. Yeah.
I mean, it has that kind of underground / punk rock kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But every panel is just really nicely composed and really detailed. I
Mhm.
think it's really hard to put in all that black stuff and make the picture still work.
Yeah.
But I enjoy every panel. Now I don't know if Terrence, you'll think it's a good thing or a bad thing that the men's penises are not particularly huge, but they are there.
Yeah.
And
I had
I personally like equal time nudity, so
Right.
I'm glad. I don't like being. I don't know. It's a weird kind of wanting a balance in the universe. I always want.
Well, you should watch the first episode of Kids in the Hall then, and you'll get some real
I saw that.
equal
Yes.
time. Yeah.
We were watching with my daughter, and after a while, my wife turned it off. But
Yeah, yeah.
I only saw the naked men. I don't know if naked women.
Yeah, no, that was it through the you
And
got
those were some very brave actors at their age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, I love the art. I can't decide where I stand on autobiographical comics.
Mhm.
And again, maybe it's from seeing her comics without knowing it over the years. But it just, here's my experiences at art school. Here's the first guy I slept with. Here's my first serious boyfriend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's done very well, but I'm not super excited by that subject matter. Yes, and she quit comics and became a gallery artist, I believe. But
Wow.
she's recently produced another book that is at least semi-comic book-like, I gather.
It's
But I
it's
couldn't find it at the
incredible
library.
looking. It's out. I had it in my hand today at the store. I almost bought it. It's
Oh, wow.
amazing because the pages the ends haven't been cut, so it gives it this feel like you can unfold it like an
those
accordion.
old books.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
like
it's
an accordion.
not. You
Really
can't
nice
actually
like
do
that.
it. It's an amazing looking book.
Oh, was
Beautiful.
that one you were showing, or someone showing it?
Not me. No,
Maybe
Colin might have though.
Maybe
Yeah, probably Colin.
Mhm.
It's funny how you can hear and see an artist, but not have it quite stay in your head.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, I would like to get a hold of Dirty Plot. The library doesn't have it.
Wouldn't we all?
On in-stock trades, you can buy a box set for about $100.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe it was $84, something like that, very close to 100. And maybe when I'm finished reading this, I'll think more about whether to spend that money.
Those single issues are impossible to find in that comic, and when I do see them, they're expensive as all hell. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 issues myself. It's so hard to find them. Yeah.
It just seems crazy that there's not a trade paperback available.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who's won like this most prestigious international comic book award.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
I did see, you know, she left comic books because she said, you're working all the time and you're making almost no money. So
Yeah.
obviously gallery art is a little more relaxed and perhaps equally or the same amount of lucrativeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I feel guilty for not being as interested in her life as I should.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about biographical comics because, you know, I could, any of us could do a biographical comic, right? But, you know, any of us that can draw a little bit, because she's a good artist, but I've seen ones where people can't draw that well.
Right.
But I don't know if I'd want to. When I was young, I thought autobiographical things were really cool. Like a lot of what Hemingway does is what they call romano clef. It's very close to his real life experiences.
I see.
But as I get older, it seems like you're betraying people left and right. Even if you portray them fairly well, you turn them into a caricature.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way to write a story or particularly draw a cartoon of someone and not distort them into something that they're not really. I don't know. So
yeah, man. Ask Joe Matt about that. He had a lot of people really pissed off at him for the way that he portrayed stuff in his comics. Yeah.
I first thought of that when I heard John Updike or a relative of John Updike say that no one in his family wants to even talk to him.
Oh, man.
You know, John Updike's a very famous U.S. literary writer. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. But he and Gore Vidal, the real Gore Vidal, were the two big celebrity writers back in like the 70s and 80s,
right.
I think.
Oh.
But so I guess a lot of his fiction is, you know, incorporates real life, and so everybody who knows him hates him. So that's an intriguing thing when you look at people doing.
Right.
Now there was stuff in American Splendor where certain people that he worked with wanted him to put them in their comics.
Yeah.
So there's a tipping point perhaps where people think it's fun to be part of the show and other people.
Well, and then it always makes me think too, like for people who are established as autobiographical writers, cartoonists, whatever it is, how much the people around you, if they're aware of it, how much are they putting on an act? So it's like, do you actually really know people around you anymore? Are they just tripping over the garbage can because they want it to be in your next comic? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Saying the most eccentric thing they can think of, so they can get American Splendor.
Get some page time,
But I could put in crazy stories about relationships, as probably most of you guys could.
Yeah.
But then how would it affect the people around us
totally
to turn those into cartoons?
Well, and that's the part, right? Like, I mean, you said it earlier, anybody could do it. I would say no, because that's the step. That's the big step, to be honest with it and to really take it somewhere. You're really putting a lot in jeopardy as far as like first of all, being that brave. When I met Chester Brown, I had commented on his Paying for It book, and I'm like, dude, like that's some bravery to come out with that book and to like put it, you know, again, knowing full well that some is going to be kind of heightened reality and that sort of thing, but still like the bravery that it takes to like, I want to write this honest story about this subject and people are going to fucking hate my guts for the rest of my life because of it, you know? So it's pretty brave to go for that.
Even with Paying for It, I felt like there was a moment where he started skipping over stuff.
Yeah.
And so there were certain things he decided certain lines he decided
not to share. Yeah.
But yeah, it's an intriguing kind of thing. And when I say any of us could do it, any of us who could draw okay, and most of us have had some experiences that make interesting stories.
Yeah.
There still is the skill of making them even better.
Right.
You know, like some people do better autobiographical stories than others.
Yeah.
There's definitely a talent there too. But I think in a way, the more talented you are at it, the more you're probably caricaturing and distorting people's lives.
Absolutely.
So you might make people even more angry at you if you're more talented.
Yeah.
Oh well, but I did, while reading this, I started like remembering all my effed up relationships in college and thinking about how I might figure comics out.
That's always fun to relive those memories, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after reading comic book, that reminds me of that kind of
Yeah.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, and this is, and part of it's, I mean, she moved to New York because of a man, but I moved to New York and had some effed up experiences after college too. So it did stir up. And I'm just a little bit older than her, so that the time frame is similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That's even better. Okay, Terrence, yours.
What do I got here? So did you read this yet, Rasa? Did you get it yet?
Next week we can share.
I got it.
You did?
Yeah, I was hoping we talk about it, but I guess we
Comment, please.
Can we?
I pulled
There's
out
not
both
much to
issues.
spoil. There's
That's
not
true.
much to spoil.
The plot is almost the same
Yeah.
as the plot of the first issue.
But the art is
Can
a
I-
spoiler for me.
Can I show you? Can I show you some art that blew my mind in this one?
Okay. Then
I did want to say I loved this cover.
Yeah.
I liked the first cover, but this cover was just fantastic.
Go on.
So we just get into our storytelling here, and then
Uh-huh.
we start creeping into our storytelling, and we get some birds coming into it, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool theme. And then you turn the page, and this is what you get.
Wow, dude.
And it's like I've read many comics where they try to pull you out of the comic and have like the image leap off the page. I don't think I've ever had a reading experience like this before. This completely jumped out of the book at me, and it was just that addition of putting the sounds of the birds in the borders. It honestly made me stop and kind of make a noise out loud. I thought it was incredible. I've never had that experience where it really felt like it was three-dimensional. This was I was fully immersed in the story, and it's just such a small detail and it only happens for a couple of pages. I mean, the pages themselves are fucking amazing.
Right.
Everything that's going on in the pages too. But I honestly thought that was such an interesting little trick to experiment with. And being able to print right to the edge is the thing that really makes it feel like it's larger and coming out of the book, because you're just not used to seeing that sort of thing. So I felt like it really worked with my eyes. I had to get the Frank Quietly cover just because I really like Quietly. Yeah. They had the other cover as well, but I got this
I thought it was another sequence where
Go on.
Where Darrow's saying, daring other artists, can you do this? Just drawing all the birds, and some are like looking at the camera, so to speak.
Yeah.
So how much is original art these days? Because this would be a fucking space.
Does he sell his original art? Or maybe only to celebrities.
Yeah, maybe.
Does he sell the art? Does he? Does he actually sell his original art?
Well,
he
in
has
one
in
of
the
the
past.
interviews, he mentioned selling it to who's that big celebrity from Titanic?
Oh,
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
Selling a piece to Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio.
Should
But he has two versions, right? He has the pencils, and then he does it over again in pen on velvet.
Yeah.
I also thought, I mean, the color scheme is the same, but I thought the coloring worked better this issue.
What you
Yeah,
said?
hey. Yeah.
Like it might have been just the color might have just been slightly tuned better for the printed page this time.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it more for that also. I went ahead and bought the digital of the first issue.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah. Did you mention on Twitter saying that there's lots of people working on it, on the colors? Did you say that?
There were 5 people credited for doing
with the
shots.
flats.
4 people color flats, and then a 5th person color flats assists.
Right.
So this is so hard to color that it takes an army to just separate out all the different parts. Because that's my understanding. A flatter just finds each individual shape you might want to color and gives it a random color, and then the colorist uses that.
So imagine this one. So those wings on the of each bird. If he actually pushed them down to the one line individually, That's an individual square. You actually trace out and flatten the color. If you done that,
Right.
that's what basically happened. And of course, you have to have an army, or you work on it for like half year to
Right.
finish
Yeah,
your first. No, because
it's
he
madness.
is high detail artist first, and don't forget inking. Oof, whoever did a inking, yeah. Oh Jesus
Well,
Christ.
he does his own inking, so
Yeah.
I mean,
I
like,
mean, he's been
let's
working on
let's
this
just
for
put
2 years or more, right?
let's
Yeah.
put a like a food tent in the middle of the desert just
Yeah.
so we can have a goddamn car
Just so we
drive
can
through
count
it, so we can blow it up. Like, the guy's fucking, he's a mental case. It's so
Yeah.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of those things that even on Twitter I said it, it's like, it's just so mental. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. It's
Yeah.
just so kind of way past anything that it's just every single time it's such a good read. But honestly, this issue, I've loved everything of Shaolin Cowboy that I've read. This
Yeah.
one really stands. This one single issue really stands head and shoulders above the rest for me.
Yeah.
It's really just a
All right,
feat.
enough of pages, please.
Oh,
Put
sorry.
it
sorry. So I do worry. Like I see on YouTube a lot of people that this is their first time reading Shaolin Cowboy.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do
And
that.
I hope
yeah.
they'll pick up on the fact that it's all one long joke. It's not.
Yeah.
They're not going to expect a wrap up at the end where everything makes sense or something.
Well, if they are, they're about to be shocked.
or character development or something.
Yeah.
Maybe the lizard is having a little bit of character development.
Yeah.
But that's better.
But
yeah,
what
it's
Shaolin
amazing.
Cowboy is a comic book to actually enjoy the guy's immense talent.
Yeah.
This is what you're there for. You want to basically get when you buy Shaolin Cowboy, which I was always tempted to do, buy a magnifying glass and just go out of it. Have a beer, have a tea or whatever, just go look what that man can do on the fucking panel. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And having his artist edition, this is the only person probably I would guarantee would like to have one, but they are pricey, like really things. But original art, that page you show me, first thing in my head, like I want that original art.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, I want to see all of this stuff in black and white along with the color because it's just so intense.
Yeah. Maybe that kayfabe guys will be influencing him to do that kind of stuff. Just listen to
I
us.
hope
I hope so too. Yeah. If anybody could convince him, it's those guys. They seem to be fairly tight with him anyway, as far as like chatting with them. So
it almost seems like he's looking to them for advice because he doesn't know how to promote himself and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that self-confidence lack of it is there? I think it's kind of shown in interviews as well with Darrow. So, but they are like last videos, like you probably was watching the Mobius stuff and all that stuff, which is pissed me right off because I went on eBay and I remember seeing the same thing, the same comic book, the same epic edition, half price before they put the video out, and the video out is double the price. Douchebags probably watched it and it's like, oh fuck, yeah, let's make the money out of it.
Well, and a week before that video, I had told my comic shop owner, "I'll pay you anything for that comic."
Yeah. The price has gone way up.
He had said, "I'll think about it." Now he's probably very glad he.
Yeah.
Absolutely, mine. I always looked up for that, and it's always been nowhere to be seen. Those epic Marvel things from the 80s, whatever they released, is absolutely
one sells
crazy. In England, there's Titan publication, so there's another publicist who done that, but they are also very rare to get. And then I saw this because Blueberry, of course, comes to mind straight away with Mobius, blah blah blah, Blueberry, blah blah. I looked it up again on eBay. And somebody for like £150 just for issue, like first like epic edition for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Fuck, people, are you mad? You crazy?
Yeah.
Let people enjoy his art for God's sake. It's
I
crazy.
think it's just that the people who own it aren't putting it up for sale, so that just drives the prices
up.
I mean,
gonna pry them out of my cold dead hands. They ain't going anywhere.
When I got it, you should see when I got it in that, I think, I don't remember. Yeah, so it was very difficult for me to get those Blu-rays. I remember I got first one, I think, in on from like on the post. Jesus, I inspect every single shit corner. I was about to scream my head off if the person wouldn't put properly in the postage, because I was just like making sure I have it. I don't even want to. I looked again, because every single time I watch the Mobius videos, I go back to my drawer. I know where my blueberries are.
Yeah, yeah.
Put down.
Sure they're
I
there.
got them.
Unlock the safe. Turn off the
Ridiculous.
alarms.
No, I'm so pleased that I went for that stuff right in the right moment, to be honest,
Yep.
because honestly, that would be such a thing for me, that not having that will burn a hole in my heart. Let's say this way.
I keep
I have-
remembering. Oh, go ahead, Damien. Yeah, go ahead.
I have to go. I have to go make lunch for my daughter.
Oh no.
Okay.
So
Come back.
next week is the 4th of July here, and I have a friend
Yeah.
visiting. And Terrence said you're not free.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
we're
will
camping.
free
We'll be
the
camping.
weekend after.
Okay. Yeah. Just give me
so
a
maybe
shout.
just you and I can do it if
Yeah,
Terrence
yeah.
isn't back.
Yeah. We'll keep the flag open. Hopefully.
Okay. Talk to you guys later. I'll be
Later.
watching from the kitchen. Bye bye.
Yeah,
All right.
later.
Later.
The one thing I keep remembering is when I went to a Calgary for a work trip, seeing a couple of those epic Mobius books that he had at almost
remember.
cover price. Yeah.
Yeah,
But my
I remember you
suitcase-
were saying, and you
My
passed it away.
suitcase
On
was full. It was full already with books, but I look back and it's like, man, I should have made some room, even
Yeah.
just to kind of like resell them and make some money. But it was like, oh my god,
Yeah, he's gonna put fire on.
yeah,
In the
I
middle of
absolutely
the
will
middle
be setting
celebrate.
fire to your fucking flag.
Shh! Not out loud. That's you're gonna get jail sentence anyway.
No, and next 2 weekends we're camping, so I won't be around. I'll be enjoying the Canadian wilderness.
Yeah, instead of talking to us, he's gonna talk to these birds. Okay, so
That's
he
right,
needs-
exactly right, and hope they don't attack me like in Shaolin Cowboy.
Yeah. Don't read that before you go. So you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, "Ah!" or like, oh, I watched a scary movie of that bloody those blackbirds. Oh my god, never can see them in
Oh,
the
okay, yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So this is we will be having a kick. This is my first experience of you been talking. That's your ear in your words in my ear been blabbing.
Uh-huh.
You probably know this.
Oh, hey, yeah, Michael DeForge, no?
Yeah, Michael
nice.
DeForge. So
Was
this
that
is
a
the
library book as well, too?
Yes, it's from library, which is actually surprising, to be honest, the content, because I think not always they are very free on the subjects, especially on the subjects of your sexuality, on this stuff. But this is the most weirdest thing I've ever found.
Yeah. No, Michael DeForge is very strange.
So I didn't know if I was disgusted or I was laughing at the same time, or it was very appealing to me. So this had all feelings, honestly, while I was reading. And so you basically follow the life of the ants, which were drawn absolutely bonkers mad.
Right.
So ant colony. I think that's what
Yeah.
has a really weird way of writing it down. It's really difficult to decipher. So if we follow the life of these two douchebags, two guys basically who are being called homos by the other ant kid, I guess, or prophet, or prophet is called. But anyway, this is absolutely bonkers. I don't know how to explain the plot, but basically we follow these two guys, and also one of them, of course, they're in a relationship in a way, because how the I don't know if it's true or he made it up, but how the ant colony works, you have a queen which every male has to inseminate in order to get your populations into right numbers. So and apparently none of the other females can be in the same place. They are placed in a different area where they call them non-fertile females. And then mainly you have those like males who basically buddies, and at the same time they get strangely aroused by burning their own ants, and they produce the pheromones and they get all horny and stuff. So this is the
It's amazing.
this is the queen, and you're like, okay, that doesn't look like ant whatsoever, but okay,
Yeah.
I'll go with it. And then nonchalance, just showing you where they enter.
Yeah.
And it's just the most bizarre.
Amazing. He's got such an amazing style.
Yeah, and it's the most bizarre. I mean, as I say, I don't know if it was a appalled many times, or I don't know, I was amazed or I was intrigued for his
Right.
storytelling. So this is the kid who is basically have a problem with those worms, earthworms, and he's like, his dad is absolutely fascinated with earthworms, and he says to his sons like, you just take it, just take it. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, so I just take it with the flow kind of thing. And then he said, don't chop them. I was like, and the kid is like appalled because he doesn't like the feeling next to them, basically, and then he's like start chopping them down, and he's laughing. They have this sinister laugh. So
Yeah.
every single time he chops, they like just giggle, and it's just like, I don't know if I can't show you, but every single time he chops them, they just have a giggle laugh, and
Oh,
he's
jeez.
like really angry. It's like, oh my god, I can't get away from them. So he decides to basically, in later story on with the prophet kid, he basically pulverizes the earthworm and inhales. So he basically gets the earthworm inside his own system and blood system, and he goes like kind of like he went like high and completely paranoid, and he starts to be seeing like like premonitions, and he became like a prophet. So it's absolutely bizarre and bonkers things. So what ends up in this colony is basically they like I say, they start killing because there's like spiders which looks like dogs. There is a centipede that looks like a limousine passes by. As I say, this is if you want to. Well, this is the time when he's pulverizing the earthworms and he's inhaling them, and he absolutely like petrified. He's saying whatever happens, and his dad is completely still saying, "Don't worry, everything will be fine," and stuff like that. So this is
Those
the
colors, man. Wow.
yeah. So this is spiders, which basically have head of the like a dog or a wolf, which is kind of intriguing things. Very graphically intriguing, and it's the way
Yeah.
the
design is amazing.
Yeah, it's landscape design, so it's really good.
Yeah.
So absolutely, as I say, and then Beast gets involved, and Beast has this way, also weird way to deal with they feel like being populations and stuff like that. So apparently these ants have problem with red ants, and red ants were basically drawn by him by like this, like actual like ants, and this is how they basically killed each other. So basically they were attacking the colony got basically dismantled, and only 3 of them left, and they were deciding to do what the like basically get the colony back to things. So they decided to give one surviving non-fertile female a bee honey, or kind of bee gold thing, whatever they called. I don't remember what he was calling them, and create a new colony of that. And it's basically, it becomes kind of weird. She starts puking her guts out. They think she's in coma. She almost died, and they actually didn't. It's not even telling you at the end whatever happened to them. It kind of ended really kind of abruptly in a way, but it's absolutely bonkers, and I absolutely loved it. I wasn't actually like at first. It was way too much. The way it ends, the prophet kid who was having the whole his journey almost with them the whole time after the colony disappearance, he decides to tell them, "Who are you?" He forgot who he's talking to, so he basically lost his whole memory. It's kind of weird. Anyway, but as an experience for first Michael Geforge, I said, I don't know if I really like him, or I'm not sure if he's sane enough to be doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, he's insane. Yeah,
and get published, and he's in Toronto, isn't it?
That's right, Ontario. Yeah. I saw one of his new things at the bookstore too, and so the way that's broken down into like 3 tiers. He has a comic out. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically just one of those tiers. So it almost looks like you're looking through an old newspaper strip. And his art in that very small format, I thought worked really, really well as well. But again, limited funds, but that's next on the list to track down. I don't know a ton of his stuff, but what I do know and have read, I really enjoy because he's just bonkers.
I thought you read this one. Do you haven't read?
No,
this
I have not read that one. I haven't read Ant Colony. No, that's one that I haven't.
And I thought you kind of.
No, totally fine. Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, as I say, I don't know if you're gonna have a kick of whatever his storytelling is all about, but graphically, it's really appealing. It's those the way he draws those ants with the faces, and then he chooses to draw the red ants as a normal red ants kind of thing, what you would think they would be. And then what they do, they drink this those spiders' milk, the red ants, and they go crazy, so they go like really high, and then that's why they were killing other ones, like dismantling them. And the way he draws it looks like cartoonist, honestly, drawing, but he does not afraid to show you guts and everything. So and then
he's part of that Adventure Time crew of artists that he worked on the show Adventure Time, and then kind of did his own thing.
Absolutely makes sense then. Really makes sense. And then the way the queen, what happened to the queen, because queen is only dependent on the male ants, and what happened to, which I'm not going to spoil, it's really beautifully done. So you if you get hold of this or anytime soon or whatever, you're going to be able to see. It's definitely very intriguing. So for me, as the first, actually really good, to be honest, to explore an artist to the completely who's not afraid to press any kind of boundaries. Do you know what I mean? It's the way he's telling the storyline, and picking the characters like ants make you kind of interested in colony work, and it's kind of like, why I'm interested in this. It's like,
well, and it's also one of the things of like, how often is it anymore as you get older? Are you genuinely taken aback by something that you, whether it's a movie that you've seen, whether it's music you've listened to, whether it's comics, there's something to be said about an artist taking whatever the subject is and having the style that genuinely makes you have a reaction like you did, where it's like, I don't know if I hate this, I don't know if I love this, I don't know if I should, like, you know, like all of these feelings that come with it. It's a pretty amazing thing. We watched season 3 of Twin Peaks. We're kind of halfway through it or whatever. There's the infamous episode number 8. My wife and I had an argument about it. We had an argument about that episode. Like, obviously, you know, everything is fine, but this idea that art can still kind of have this effect on you to something where you're like either really angry about the experience or like really joyous about the experience. Like the fact that it can be so polarizing. There's something to say about that. Even when you're flipping through that book, just looking at the pages themselves and seeing the panels, and it's almost like it's just this abstract kind of art design to just the page. Forget about the details, just kind of taking the imagery and the colors and the line work and everything. Really very unique cartoonist. There's no doubt about it.
For sure. And I was thinking, do I want the madness to experience once again? And I think I am, because it's just the way he's openly discussed that on the pages, and without, like, you know, not intrigued, like not overly, but like somebody, I don't know how to explain that, but in my head, sometimes when people touch the subjects, not always they go full on plain and simple, you know what I mean? Like plain simple language. Sometimes they try to overly complicate it, show you in the graphic or wherever they're drawn into it or something like that. And here it feels like very easy to read. First of all, the conversation between those ants were really easy to understand, basically, what I'm trying to say. Nothing over complicated storylines, but it's intriguing, but because you kind of disgusted by it, because what they are basically telling you. And you look at the art and it's nice and cheerful because of the colors it's using, and you're like, what is this? And you're again, more pages, and you start reading and you just laugh and you're like, okay, now I get you, kind of, in a way. So it makes you kind of, in that sense, feel the artist completely.
Well, and even saying that sentence, what is this? I think that's such a fantastic, like, if I was an artist, that would be such a huge compliment that, wow, clearly I'm doing something that's outside of some people's kind of area. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I would take that as a compliment if I was an artist, for sure. What the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's what's up here. It's what's in my head that's come out on a page that looks bonkers.
Okay, people are leaving. Bye-bye for looking comics.
Later.
Enjoy.
Nice to see you.
I don't know what they were talking about.
They were talking about Chaos was talking about Shaolin Cowboy versus Orphan and the Five Beasts, and he's saying that as much as he likes Shaolin Cowboy, he feels that Orphan blows it away. I don't know if it blows it away, but I would put them in the same league. Or Stocco is a phenomenal artist, and the detail that he can put onto a page is incredible as well too. I would say that they're very similar schools, no doubt.
Definitely, if you would look at his art book, which I got, remember that? It's actually, yes, it's extremely detailed, but I think Darrow even steps higher, because it just doesn't want to stop. It doesn't look like he can stop as well. Sometimes it's like ADHD kind of part of for him,
right?
To make sure everything is in there, and the pages I mean, until he runs out of paper, it looks like he finishes, because it
Well,
seems
and
to
I would just say to that, give Stocco time. I mean,
yeah,
he's still young in comparison. I feel like as his
yeah,
style keeps developing, I feel like the you know, I look at Orkstein versus some of his new stuff, and it's, you know, it's the same artist. There's no doubt, but there's differences even in that span, right? So it's he's still progressing, I feel like, and I
yeah.
can't wait for more. Or you know, like Shaolin Cowboy, you could keep giving Orphan and the Five Beasts, and I would be on board every single time. Like I can't. I look forward to it like I do with Shaolin Cowboy, knowing that there's more coming. I'm
Mhm.
excited about it now. You know, I'm really glad I grabbed that book.
Is the Orphan already on like hardcover or in trade?
There's already a collection of the first, I think it was 4 issues that came out. Yeah. And then I follow him on Twitter, and he
Mhm.
was saying the next ones are coming out soon. I don't remember what the date was for them, but I'm glad to see that it's still coming because
Because I
yeah,
wanted.
but you can buy them collected. I think it's hardcover. I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
Chaos knows.
I mean, I'm intrigued because of the, you know, the collection of his arts now I have. I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to see more or get to know him more in the actual comic book. So
Yeah.
that would be intriguing, especially of this the art style, which appeals to all of us. It seems
Yeah,
to be.
totally.
Yeah. Or Stokos is great, but Darrow's level of crazy difficult seems another level. Yeah. Like we
Yeah.
say.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, no, absolutely. They're different creators, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, it's in similar schools of thought when it comes to art, I think.
Mhm. Okay, your turn.
I'll talk about these. So in my checking out Rick McCollum stuff,
Mhm.
one of the
Mhm.
books that I got from my comic shop in one of the orders was the
Mhm.
first 2 issues of Dark Regions, issue 1 and issue number 2 from White Wolf.
Okay.
That cover is so fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, it's fun. I mean, the story, it's really just cut and paste the
Mhm.
classic. Here's our D&D adventure that we did that we're just going to put into a comic book, and that'll
Oh.
be it for our story, which I got no problem with. It's just there's not much to say about the story is all that I mean about that. For
Yeah.
me, the more interesting thing is seeing again, like it feels like within these 2 issues already I see him progressing as an artist. And I think one of the things that stood out to me about this is I wasn't as crazy about the art in this first one. There's a couple of pages I can see that it's him for sure. This is
Mhm.
him inking himself as well. So I wonder if that had something to do with this transition. Maybe he wasn't as kind of used to inking yet at this point, or hadn't found kind of his style. I'm not
Mhm.
really sure. I don't know much about him as an artist. But
Yeah.
where it picked up for me was the second issue, and he had somebody helping him out with the inking. Where's the credits here? Pencils, Rick McCollum, inks and lettering by Greg Garrett. And I think like it stepped up a bit in this one, not right off the first page, but especially when we got to these pages with this werewolf. Honestly, when we talk about buy-in pages, I would love these 2 pages. I
Mhm.
really love the looks of these. I love the use or the look of this werewolf in the foreground.
Oh
I
yeah.
love kind of all the blood and stuff on its mouth that's just this white space.
Yeah.
But this one specifically, I think, is a fantastic panel. It really feels like this feels more like McCollum through this. So I wonder, you know, again, like thinking about, I wonder what this relationship with this particular anchor had on, what effect it had on his style, you know.
Mhm.
And like I said, the story is just so, you know, it's a fucking elf and a dwarf and a warrior going on an adventure, and you know, getting drunk and getting into fights, and um it's okay. But yeah,
Mhm.
there's some dinosaurs there too. Just a really nice kind of simple look, but there's something about it that's very, very appealing. So I would love to get this third issue. I have an issue of this Moonstruck from the same company, which I pulled out, but I haven't read it yet. What else was in here art wise? Thought there was something else that jumped out at me. Yeah, that's a very Rick McCollum woman there.
Mhm.
That's the facial features. That's definitely his hand at work there. So yeah, I mean, really fun stuff. I'm glad that I gave it a shot. I don't know how much of a rush I'm in to find that third issue and pick it up, but if I find it, I'd absolutely grab it. The other one that I had on my list is Dimension Z, and it's a little bit before this. I think the timeline is a couple years before this. I'm curious to see that. The stills that I've seen are even further away from kind of his Ashley Dust style that I love. But so this feels like a nice in-between style.
Okay.
Yeah.
That the wolf you were talking about, it's just like good. That it would be good tattoo. That's what I want to say. Just first thing, because of the way stylized, and it's like kind of have storyline in the same in the image, which is what you want to have.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
Oh, look at them. It's just still say 2% plot is so long you can take. Yeah, of course. It's actually kind of, it looks, but it's never repetitive though in Darrow's art. I mean, no matter how many challenge things you are not having in the plot line, I don't think is a strong point. Only the more intense storyline of Shaolin Cowboy of Darrow is because somebody else was writing it. Beginning ones, because it wasn't his. Was it his story?
No, it was him the whole time. And I mean, honestly, I would kind of argue with Chris a little bit on that. Like, Orphan has a real story, really? Come on, that's pushing it a little bit. Yes, maybe it has a little bit more of a story than Shaolin Cowboy, but I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't have much of a story either. And that's not me bashing it by any stretch. Yeah. It's a pretty simplistic plot of here's our 5 bosses that we have to fight. We're going to go through the levels and we're going to fight them, really, with some absurdity thrown in there and stuff. Right. But yeah, I mean, because to me, Shaolin Cowboy has a plot. And the one thing that I thought of when I was reading it is I'd have to look back at every series, but I'm wondering if every single Shaolin Cowboy is being narrated by an animal of some sort. Because I know that the last couple have been, but I don't remember if the first one was narrated by that donkey that was in that first series that he was riding on all the time. I feel like everyone is narrated by an animal. So this animal's perspective on kind of humans and following these stories around, so.
Wasn't it the crab? Because the crab originally had the end story in one of the recent Shaolin Cowboys he did. But the crab was part of these villains in the first one, if I recall correctly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to revisit them all. Yeah, it's been so long since I've looked at that first few issues there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what should I go? Should I go for quite a few of the reads I had, especially was very much involved of a female creators.
Oh, yeah.
And this perspective of females' life kind of thing, like, or friends or family. I'm thinking which one should the one I mentioned. I really enjoyed. Okay, let's talk about this one, which actually kind of surprises me enough. So this one, nice. Right? This one is by Etienne Davidu. I don't know if I pronounced that. I'm so sorry. This is by Comics
Lit, right?
Lit, yeah.
Yeah.
Your publisher, apparently.
Yeah, NBM, yeah.
Yeah, NBM, yeah. It's like you, I don't know. Anyway, so it's Furutopoulos, 2008, 2010. I don't know what. It's an English translation as well, translated from. So Lulu Ainu is a story. It's kind of like fictional story about a female who has 3 kids. She has a husband who is a piece of garbage, let's say this way. And then she goes for interview in another town. And then, I think maybe, let's say this way, I don't know what, I don't like to put it, but maybe midlife crisis happens to after that. And then she decides to take a break and not come back to home as we decided. But the way they start the storyline in this one is a group of her friends sitting outside having this conversation, and you have basic narration from her point of view, but for people who of her friends who basically met her in that time while she was on a vacation, let's say this way. Everything is in watercolor, it seems to be, and the art is, I would say, very expressive, let's say this way, facial expressions, because you most of the time are exposed to conversations of people who telling us a story of the whole book, let's say this way. So she goes away, as I say, gets an interview, decides to stay over for a little bit longer, goes books at a hotel, and what happens is it's situational things happens. She sits down, has a dinner, and then she meets this lady who she's a salesman, and that whatever the conversation they had with having a couple of glasses of wine ticked something in her, and she decided to basically stay even longer. So people, or her kids, the 3 kids, the husband got so kind of like pissed off because she never picked up the phone properly, or she didn't really tell them why she's doing that. So she just up and left, and there were people thinking that something can really happen, or what happened to her. So try to kind of understand her a little bit better. And the story gets to the point where she basically, while listening to the lady while having a wine, she decides to basically end up in the sea town, and she meets this random guy on the beach. And then she basically thinks that he's dead because he's lying on the beach, kind of not moving, and she basically kicks him in the gut, and he wakes up and saying, "What you doing to me?" And then she thought, "Oh, I was thinking you dying," and basically end up having a small relationship. This is the pages I'm talking about. So she basically proper kicks him in the gut, and she's like, "What the hell is going on here?" So, and then so she has this affair while she's escaping from her basically life in a way, because she met this random guy, and she decides to, like kind of have like something, or she wanted to be doing something different with her whatever she done. So everything divulged in that, and then she meets this guy's brothers who apparently working in this trailer kind of park, taking care of the camping houses, trailers, I guess. Anyway, so it's funny because afterwards she's still not coming back, and the whole conversation with her friends and her daughter, who's 16, basically telling the whole story. And in one moment in this comic book, you basically feel like somebody's died. It feels like people are meeting there to talk about the person who is not there anymore. And then you're like, oh my God, they killed the character without basically telling you. Like, what the hell is going on here? So, and that part was intriguing because they're not telling you what's happening to your main character. You're just still telling the story, where she is at, why she's doing that. And it gives to where there was uncomfortable part, I guess, if you're a child and you start to realize that your mother, who escaped basically from being your mother to do something for herself, and they went into that beach where she was with a guy, and her own daughter looking at her kissing the stranger basically, and she having this kind of like feelings where I should be sad or should be happy for my mom, or why she left us, and nobody's basically talking in conversation. The death happens for sure, so which is a relief. Who died, I'm not gonna say, because it's an intrigue part of the comic book, and I think it really helps. So I really enjoyed it. And that part, it was kind of slow at first, but as always, the comic books, a lot, you have to give them a chance to actually understand the whole narrative or the whole plot line. So you have to just give it a chance. And I did give a chance, of course. I didn't close it by and didn't get fed up with it. And it really was rewarding because it was so surprised. And I was really relieved at the same time. But who has died, I will not, as I say, do. And then who she met afterwards, it was intriguing that the person gets to that point where wants to escape the family life completely because she doesn't understand herself anymore. The only thing she was doing is taking care of 3 kids full time. She goes to job interview, gets denied all the time apparently, and that's just the breaking point for her, just to find herself again, because otherwise it's no point of her anymore, kind of thing. There's no other things to entertain her. So very intriguing. And I was very surprised. I actually liked it because I didn't think I would. It sounds as I say, they say it's a fictional storyline, but it kind of could be somebody else, like somebody's life, to be honest. Because honestly, being a mother, and I am a stay-at-home mom, I kind of could relate but not as much as I am on the kind of like I'm getting to the point where I need to find myself again. Once again, I will probably gonna have to anyway at some point in my life, but this is kind of like, okay, this is crazy, but I understand what her feeling about. I don't have abusive husband, by the way. He drinks and he's kind of like really very bad towards her, but it's just the life what females have to go through, to be honest, to sacrifice herself in order to fulfill the kids' needs and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
stream of families' needs. So
Right,
very,
right.
so very good. Once again, surprising, and as I say, never would explore that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as I say, I keep on saying the same things about library, but it's a beautiful thing because
Yeah.
you can just give a chance to people. As this Etienne Devenue, so
Well,
very
especially
good.
with the range of stuff your library carries, man. I'm pretty damn impressed
Yeah,
that they
I
have
am.
this such a wide range, and I'm sure they've got a ton of Marvel and DC too.
Oh.
But it's nice to see
So the shelf I'm looking at. So I'm going to this main Oxford Library. So this is the
Yeah.
biggest one in the area, in the Oxfordshire area. And I'm going there because I know that probably a hub of this kind of things more than any your atypical small library in the area would have. For example, my more local library doesn't have anything like that
Right.
whatsoever. So I'm going in the honeypot, let's say this way.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about
Yeah.
Marvel and DC. Marvel DC has like the whole bookshelf for themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas for this, it's two shelves, like just two
Oh,
shelves.
okay. 2 rows kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of that. So I always get surprised I see something new because it's honestly because I kind of like now thinking, did I read quite a lot of things? But I keep on looking and I find something new, as you can see yourself by
Yeah, yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
I'm very, very surprised and I'm very happy I can do that. So kind
Yeah,
of thing.
shit, yeah. Yeah.
So exploration is a beautiful thing. And
Yeah,
there's so
cool.
much, as I say, we know that already as a comic reader, so much things there is to grab. But yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
Okay.
I didn't read too much else this
Oh, no.
week. Like nothing really to talk too much about. So I'll just show you the last 3 things that I read this week. Last night, the new Heavy Metal Drummer is issue number 5. Again, I'm enjoying it enough. I don't know if this is like amazing me or anything. I wouldn't say run out and grab it or anything. I mean, it's fun. It's got some really nice art. It's this kind of stuff that I'm here for, though. It's the crazy, batshit crazy stuff that I'm looking for, So yeah, that's it's a good enough read. I'll keep going with it. I mean, again, like Norse mythology, it's gorgeous. I can't say there's absolutely nothing bad to say about this. The finale of our kind of storyline here with Loki comes to a conclusion here. And the art is fantastic. And I love the story as well, too. So it's, yeah, I mean, this has got to be one of the best comics, I think, like series that I've read in quite a few years. I truly look forward to it. I made a trip down to the comic shop the other day to make sure that I picked up my copy that was in my pull list because I really want to kind of keep up with it. And then the last thing I read sort of in the same road here is the couple of extra issues that I had for this Sandman, the Dream Hunters. So I've got, what do I have? Issues 1, 2, and 3, I think. Yeah. So it's a 4-issue miniseries, or was a 4-issue miniseries from 2009. And again, like it has that feel of Norse mythology. It has that feel of the Jim Henson Storyteller that I'm reading. But the thing is, apparently, from what I found out in one of these issues, it's made up. A lot of the people at the time, he got a little bit of shit from people because people were asking, hey, where did you find this story? Where did you, like, what have you taken this from? Who are these people in history and yada yada? He's like, no, I made the whole damn thing up. But it has that feel of Norse mythology, like a retelling of a folk tale. And it's so good. So in the back of this first issue is where he writes it up. And even P. Craig Russell says in here too that it was only very recently when this came out that he found that out. So he was in the same boat. The artist of the book was even thinking that it was something taken from a folktale. But honestly, like, I cannot recommend, like, I really think that this is worth your time to hunt down. And if it costs you a little bit more online, if there's a collected version or something, I can honestly say, like, this is an absolutely amazing read. I really want that 4th issue. It's incredible, really incredible. The art is gorgeous, of course, but the story is very, very engaging, and it's a very touching story so far. This animal, this fox, and this, I think it was a raccoon, at first are kind of playing tricks on this Shaolin monk to get to chase him away from his temple that he's looking after. The fox kind of turns into a woman, and they fall in love. So now this fox spirit, this kind of creature, is kind of following him around, and it just kind of jumps from there. And that's not really spoilers, because that's all within kind of the first half of the first issue as kind of the premise, because it really opens up from there. But just a really nice story that feels like a legit, taken from history, taken from mythology, so, and that just is evidence of just what a great writer he is. I'm really kind of coming around on Neil Gaiman. Not that I was ever not a fan, but I haven't read as much, you know what I mean? So I've only read a couple of Sandman issues here and there through my time growing up, but I'm really responding to this style of writing quite a bit lately. It's the stuff that really hits me when I'm sitting at nighttime and reading. So I'd love to kind of keep digging down this path of some Neil Gaiman stuff.
What's the main story called, so I can basically
it's called The Dream Hunters.
The Dream Hunters, okay.
And it was from 2009. January 2009 was issue number 1. So
wow, hardcover, first edition.
Is there a hardcover?
Yes, and it looks kind of nice. Let me show you.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to get the glare out, but that's
no, that's okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to keep my eyes open for it to see if I can find a copy.
Okay, somebody's wanted to on auction.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I have 3 more things to talk about. I've read as well. And the first, okay, the other book I was talking about, more like I don't know, autobiographical, I guess.
Okay.
One about the first life. So this is by Lizzie Stewart. It's Fantagraphics. She is, I think, English, because the storyline in here, I think, is her life about her best friends. And it's not what you thought it would be. So, when you're a child and you have a best friend, and you say you're going to live together for the rest of your life, because, you stick together, everything is going to be we're going to do everything. You have the same kids, kind of like the same amount of kids and all that bullshit kind of thing, like the best friends think. But of course, life happens. And that's not really what happens. And it's in here, we're following this 2 best friends' life story. And the very important part is art in here. Watercolor or ink wash. I think this is ink wash and watercolor, to be honest. So she lives in I don't know where she was born, but she lives in those estates, very famous in England, where it used to be putting in the area of whatever, let's say, country, where they build housing, more than 1-story buildings next to each other, and they basically promote this beautiful life where you're going to share your neighbors, your all experiences, where you can have shout, scream, have dance floor, like you complain about your neighbors for noise and stuff like that. So anyway, she's from that part of the life. And then she's having her best friend, and they basically go through their teenage years, everything, whatever the expectations, how one is more asserting of self. But how she starts the story of this book is actually from before, kind of like your, I don't know, maybe I don't know the time, like age of her, because she's not saying that, but the experiences of her finding this fox lying on the floor in on a park next door to where they were living, and they're trying to protect it because they don't think that is going to survive. How they basically created almost a shrine to the fox in order to basically make it kind of maybe help the fox in here. So it's kind of intriguing because it was one of her brother's friends who found the fox. So they're basically creating this. What this book does, while she's talking about it, it changes the color scheme. It tells you maybe made up story where, because they had this great storm after building the shelter for the fox, and basically what happened is it disappeared. So it was blown away and then she tells you this little story where the fox might left, or it's actually died and perished from the child's point of view. And then that's the storm, the way she's portraying that in the comic format, double page spread. And then you have her kind of like straight away a blush, a story of how she felt, how people thought about her, and how she gets embarrassed all the time and she doesn't have her confidence. And the way the telltale sign is she blushes quite a lot, and kids are noticing that, and she feels like she's in the spotlight. And she basically changes the style slightly once again. So he introduces more color. It seems to be that she's really playing around with all kind of art styles she can. This is the best example how I felt in school. So talking about, we were talking, Terence, about my experience with my sons in school, Shabakal, but this is what I was kind of like feeling with the teachers looking down on me and on that kind of educational system where they didn't feel like needing you to understand who you are, just telling you what you're supposed to be. Then this story about, so now she actually really gets into a relationship with her best friend, and again she changes the style of the art in here, which I really enjoyed this a lot. I felt graphically it's done really beautifully. So they are basically two bored kids, like always, teenagers, life goes so slowly. They don't really know what to do with holiday time, so they decided to listen to the songs, and they will listen to what the song they were listening to. What it's a 90s song, very famous, and I can't remember of the song's name. But I had a kick of it because I grew up in that kind of the environment as well. So kind of felt like almost being a part of that kind of group where you have your friends, and how best friends were more important than your family. How your time spent together was so intriguing. So in order to spend time, they decided to go back to school, which is kind of a bizarre choices, but they decided to go on top of the rooftop and just be teenagers, start talking nonsense, and then sees the boy coming through. They invite him to come, and then one of the friends, as I say, one is very confident, and another one is absolutely shy and doesn't want to get involved with the boys in the conversation, or doesn't want to have the conversation with the boys. So that's the scenes for the boys when he gets to be invited up to the roof. Special invitation, I guess, in that time. And then he decides to go, I just need to pick up something. And then he decides to invite 105 of his friends back to here, like there. It's like, okay, I just wanted to invite a couple of friends. And she's like, oh my God, you just ruined my day, kind of thing. So it's very much teenage experiences, but this is how they grew up, and they fall through the life. They have not spoken. And the way it ended, I'm just going to take to the point, I'm talking way too much about it, but the life they went through life. They start to not being friends really anymore. They haven't spoken for 5 years apart, but they basically end up in this wedding party by chance, because one invited another one because they have the same group of friends, I guess. So we start to have a conversation in the wedding party, and basically
I'll be right back, Russ. Yeah. Sorry, I'll be right back.
Okay, got the relationship back to being friends again, and I try to work on that. So that's another one of the great library things. So this is another surprise. This is the book I was talking about when I was talking about the Hemingway things. This is Andy Watson book. It's Top Shelf production. a book tour. This is a story of the guy who has the worst day of his life. And I'm telling, like, I felt for this guy, but because it ended up being so bad for him that I was like thinking, Jesus, are we gonna get a good ending for this? But what I'm trying to say about art, extremely beautiful backgrounds, very detailed, with making sure to kind of like it gets you involved in where the character will be at. And we are talking about the guy who basically tries to get he's published author, and he's going on a tour to promote his book, and that's all the story involves in. And he wrote a book about, it says, Without K. And then so he goes into a promoted tour where his publishing actually paid money for. So you see this very beautifully boxed arts. But what you get exposed to is really a simple, oh my God, I don't know if you can, the glare is astronomical in here. I don't know if this art is going to be, oh, there you go, will be portrayed. So this is what you get. This is how much of every single, almost like him, this is what the most of your facial expressions you'll get. The way the speech bubbles happens is not really in the bubble. So it's interestingly how the author decides to have conversations. But this bad situations happened to him. It got so intense, and it became to the point where he got involved with the police. So basically, guy goes in to do the world tour, the book tour, and he is apparently traveling from town to town. I can't tell you, I don't remember the town's names, and I think it's definitely in Europe. But while he's touring, his book is not there's another book promoter basically coming the day he goes the day after them. So, and that the book which is promoted is extremely popular, and a lot of people goes to the books to get signed and stuff like that. But the story starts when he travels by train to the first destination. He loses the whole suitcase of books, and all with his published, basically the book he's promoting. Then when he arrives to first location, nobody is interested in his books. So he just like, and he looks like very tame person, like, oh, don't worry, this happens, nothing is got to worry. And afterwards he gets to be placed in the most dingiest, dodgiest hotels, where he always asks for one thing to eat, which is steak. Apparently he's a proper into steak, and well done steak please, and then stuff like that. And then the longer the story gets, the worse the stingy hotels gets. It gets to the point where there's a murders happening, and the people who gets murdered is the people who works in those bookstores he actually tours into. So they start suspecting him as being a killer. And then also it's just I'm telling you, this is really kind of like at first felt so boring, but afterwards that intrigue with murders and serial killers and him getting into war situations, like, oh my God, this is it. They're gonna blame him for murders, and he's like this really tame guy who has a family, and his wife doesn't agree with this supposed extra curriculum or whatever he's like he wants to do something else with himself, and this is what he would like to be, a published proper writer with fame and fortune and stuff like that. So very simple art style, but it's very intriguing, and it's really rewarding right at the end. And I was, as I say, very surprised. And for me, with the mysterious part of when you get involved in murder and mystery, and it gets my whole attention. And I just was flipping this pages, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? We find out who the killer is. We also find out how bad the situation ended for him, or in a way, I'm not going to spoil it as well, but so worth it. And it looks so plain. It's not in your face comic book.
Yeah,
it's definitely not something you would probably want to pick up from the shelf, but it's intriguing. And Andy Watson did really great. This is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Top Shelf Publishing. I don't know when it was released, to be honest. I never do know. I don't know. It seems to be I don't never find them.
Yeah.
What publishing times were. It says apparently this was printed in Korea. And Andy Watson is a British cartoonist and writer and illustrator. Was nominated for 2 Eisner Awards, Harvey and British Comics Award. He was written and drawn graphic novels, wide variety of ranges for Marvel, Walker Books first, second, Random House, Dark Horse. So he's been everywhere, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this cover is absolutely whatever they use is mixed with. It's really good, absolutely fantastic read. And the last thing, but not least, which make me want to go to my library and see if they have collected edition, which Terence will know, is Valerian. But I picked up this Valerian because I knew this is not the writers actually the original writers of Valerian.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you one thing. I think it's great that I did that because this reading, this is so funny anyway, the story itself. But this is what made me wanted to go back and do Valerian. Because I just didn't know the glimpse of Valerian. I never read Valerian, first of all. I also watched the movie, but because it was there at that time. Of course, I listened to you, Terence, talking about Valerian, and also I listened to even Dr. Monkeybot talking about Valerian.
Yeah. Mind the Comics, Paulo Costa, all those guys.
Yeah, exactly. So many of you. And also, it's a Cinebook production. I really wanted to feel how they produce those kind of European format, because this is a English publisher who does a lot of translated European comic books. So I really wanted to have the feel of what kind of you get. Like, especially you gave me the Thorgal, isn't it? They doing that?
Yeah, Thorgal. Yeah, that's right.
So
is it the same size as Thorgal, or is this bigger?
I think it feels bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It looks like it. Yeah.
I don't know where I put my Thorgal, but I've been looking. I don't, like me organizing myself, but through your comic book collection. But it looks much bigger. Like, let's say the biggest book I had is almost bigger than my biggest book.
Right.
I had.
Okay. Yeah. So then it's definitely the oversized.
So apparently the fans of Valerian, the writers, like say, script is by Wilfred Lupano and artwork and colors by Matthew Lafray. So Wilfred Lupano is a huge fan. He grew up with Valerian and he was absolutely a fan of it. And he asked the main creators to basically write the story. He had this in mind and they give him a blessing and he did this comic book. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is it's really nice when you don't have any whatsoever perspective about Valerians and who the kind of like characters are to read this. First of all, the story was absolutely bonkers and crazy. Second, it's just like didn't take itself seriously whatsoever.
Yeah.
Kind of difficult to understand these three aliens who basically was all about. So Shingu's losing. So losers kind of thing and stuff like that. I really like this format, by the way. I absolutely love how big everything is.
Yeah.
And here you get an explanation of how they got inspiration and got the permission to do this like random storyline. And this little couple of pages of comic book basically went me like I really want to know Valerian more now because the characters, the work, what they do, who they are trying to look for in here. So I'm not sure the names now, so do forgive me. I'm still learning about this, but you have your two guys, the main male and female. The names.
Yeah, Laureline. Yeah.
Yes. Basically, they're going on a hunt for the robot. A robot who is the best hacker ever made, and he's the best guy in disguise. They can't really find him because he's keep on escaping them because he's that kind of clever. And the way he, when they look for it, they found him in this like he's fishing in this little land, and he's like, really, he's gonna just be there fishing, doing nothing, and we're not gonna be able to find him and properly. So they do find him, but of course he's so clever, and he's scheming the minute they see him. Basically, he's trying to find the escape route, and that's where the story starts. And it doesn't stop. It just the minute they start to have that conversation with him, the action has just absolutely went forward. And you're like, am I following this right? And so basically he catches this tuna, which is apparently the most expensive fish and prohibited to be catching in the first place.
Mhm.
He's been just fishing it because he can. Also, he tries to convince them, saying about their wages, and it's like this actual fish or just a square fish or a little amount of his fish can pay you the whole year's salary or like 18 years
Oh.
of salary. And like, what? Am I paying that low? I think I paid that low for my job, kind of thing. So basically you find out why they're going after this robot, because the employee apparently put the whole their life salaries into something he invested on, and this guy basically stole it. And so in order for him to survive the company, he had to basically employ them to do it without telling the full story. And then you get involved with those three aliens, or one of the aliens, basically, with this crazy ship, where basically interrupt the capture of the robot, and because of them, they change the time of the Earth. And that's just, as I say, this is just a blink of the storyline he was telling. So very good, extremely intriguing, beautiful little art, very
Yeah, the
much
art
of
looks really nice. Yeah.
yeah, everything, whatever I like is right there for me to enjoy. Has beautifully done panels. I mean, as I say, very nicely. Um, they did justice, I guess, for the creators as well, because
Right.
it's really beautiful. So, and the story, as I say, has a great repay, and also it has a. It's funny. So they keep on telling, basically what really happens. I'll need to find the page. We talk about Earth. So I don't. I even put that on the thumbnail for this video. I don't
Oh,
understand
okay.
how
Yeah.
managed to degrade the one substance indispensable to their own existence in such a short time. He's talking about water.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, the humans trashed the earth so badly that the water, the most indispensable thing, which is what usually like everybody's losing and not having enough of, they basically polluted to the point where it's not sellable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's as I say, it's very involved, intriguing storyline. I'm just telling you the basics of out of it, but really made me want to go and look for Valerian. I couldn't
Mhm.
find Valerian, of course, in my library, where I'm going to, because they are scattered everywhere, and they have scattered things everywhere. But I was surprised to see that they have collected edition.
Yeah.
Which is collector story, like I don't know if it's a hardback or trade paperback, but there's
The ones
another
I've seen have been hardbacks. When I've seen the collected ones, I think maybe it was Humanoids that did a version of them. Anyway, yeah, the ones I've seen have been hardbacks. That would be the way to go for sure. Get a
They
nice
sell
chunk.
as well, by the way.
Okay.
They actually sell them, the collected editions as well.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
I wanted just to check before to see if they have in my library, and I'm to my surprise they do. So I'm waiting them to deliver to the locations where I can pick it up. So basically,
Yeah.
so I pay a little bit extra for £1.40 to
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, why
That's
the hell?
worth it.
Yeah. So my library has been intriguing me a lot.
Yeah,
You can
no doubt.
and it's expanding my world of comic books to a degree I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know existed because of you, Terrence, mainly because you always show me those indie stuff, and you're like, oh my god, how do I get in that kind of realm? But I guess you can with all other things and all the publishers, like so many of them, like Top Shelf,
So many.
And then, to be honest, now I can understand Fantagraphics. They're doing a really good job with their hardcovers. They are so beautifully done. They force out really well. They usually, as a product, it looks out of, like you always see it, like you want to go check it out. And usually such a beautifully presented, like really do justice to the creator, like they don't skip, it seems to be.
Yeah,
when it
that's
comes
right.
to that. So yeah, I'm very intrigued in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no,
so
they absolutely need our support. Like Fantagraphics, anytime you can buy Fantagraphics, you gotta support Fantagraphics. They've done some amazing stuff over the years. Colin had a video up yesterday, I think, with the Fantagraphics purchase. I guess he's close-ish to the store, so he went and bought some stuff. And I mean, that just the idea of that makes me drool, being that close to be able to go for a day trip to visit the Fantagraphics store.
I bet that would be like some things you like, "Oh, do they have that? Why would like
Yeah,
I've
they'd be saving up for a year to go to visit that store, drop a bundle of money.
half of your like pension, like, "Ah,
Yeah,
don't worry.
give it.
I'm so
Yeah.
intrigued to know what you write."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
but they have some really good design, and the quality of the books are always really top notch. So
yeah,
it's
as
good
I
that
say,
they're still around.
yeah, it's always as I say, it stands out. But also, I'm always very impressed with Jonathan Cape, which is English publisher.
Oh yeah,
They always hardcovers in superb way, and the books opens really nicely all the time. But
nice. Yeah,
it's interesting how much there is. Like I didn't, as I say, I mean, John Quarterly produces beautiful stuff as well.
yeah,
Don't
they
forget.
do. Yeah,
So yeah, I'm being, as I say, I'm being spoiled because I don't know, I just keep on seeing new things. Maybe that's good for me, but I also look for the older stuff.
hmm
But more obscure things I get, the more happy I'm becoming. It seems to be
right.
much more rewarding. The ending, I'm never always like, like what tends to happen to the superhero comic books, you tend to disappoint yourself with the endings. You never
Right.
usually get to the point of end because they never die, let's say
They
this way.
never
But
end. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
when you start reading those life stories of this, like a book tour, as a simple thing as a book tour can get to the point where the person gets like almost running away from not and gets into situations where he's not supposed to be at, but he's there because of life happens kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you get to like to read about the best friends and like why they go through that, and you start thinking, oh my god, I was exactly thinking like that when I was with my best friend, like I'm gonna live my life with her the rest of my life,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I've not seen her for 20 years.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for my example, my life example, let's say with my best friends and stuff like that, it's just
yeah,
absolutely crazy. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
happy.
it's amazing that we're in a time where all of these small publishers, or not, and some not so small, just
Yeah.
this exposure to all these publishers, maybe a better way to say it, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
have access to this kind of storytelling. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, like it was a dream in the 90s, because that's the stuff that I was reading in the 90s, right? Like that there would be this accessibility. And I mean, as much as I felt like I had access then, it's nothing like it is now. I mean, going down to the bookstore to find those two books, one of which Gus talked about, a week ago or so on his channel, the ability for me to go out and actually find it is outstanding. It's so great that there's just so many options. When I
Yeah.
was there, this kid was with his parents, and I
Mhm.
overheard him say, "Oh, they got comic books." And he came and looked at the shelf, and I heard him kind of gasp, like, "Whoa," a couple of times at some of the stuff they had. And it was like, it was so good to hear that there's this accessibility and people are still excited, and it's so great.
One thing beautiful about this library stuff, which I'm now going quite often, actually, we down now doing once a week because I'm tend to not rushing to read it, but I'm intrigued I'm gonna find as it like a treasure almost. I think for me to
Yeah,
basically find new stories I'm gonna get really excited about. But another beautiful thing is my son gets the time with my husband to go to library at the same time,
yeah,
and they have a children's section.
yeah,
And the children's section has plenty of the kids book and even comic books, to be honest. And I was looking, I haven't yet went in that section properly because I always tend to get them because I get my space and time to select whatever I want to read first.
yeah.
But the beautiful thing my husband just told me, he said he found a kid in the library. He picked up random books, showed him, like, come here, we go and read together. And that's for my son and for my husband especially, but my son to get that experience of beauty, what library can give it to you. Just
Yeah,
randomly go there, see some child, just have it, like, read a
yeah.
book. Why
Yeah,
not?
we took
Pick
both
it.
kids. I've taken
Yeah.
both kids, but Lily more so. Like Lillian, we would go on the weekends because they had a
Mhm.
reading club for kids, like for
Yeah.
little kids,
Yeah.
where they would tell a story. You could bring
Yeah.
snacks and you could
Yeah.
hang out. And she made a couple of friends there that we would see on a weekly basis. And
Yeah.
afterwards, we'd sit and have snacks together. And Una was her name.
Mhm.
And it was just so much fun. It was such a good thing to have that, be able to go downtown, be able to go to the library and just have something else to do, especially again in the wintertime. But it's great. It's a really good atmosphere. The kids section in our downtown library is exceptional. It's enormous because our downtown library is the biggest one. We've got a
Mhm.
few other ones scattered. There's one close to us, but it's pretty small. But the
Mhm.
downtown library is just gorgeous, and the kids section is enormous, and they have some nice comfy reading chairs and all
Mhm.
sorts of things. So yeah.
Yeah, they have This one in my they have drawing area.
Yeah.
They have reading area, and they even have like a computer area, whatever,
Oh,
to
yeah.
do games and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I was looking at so they have the book where I noticed the most, because it was just shelf while I was going to pick them up. Marvel, but like Black Panther character Shuri, but in
Oh,
actual like words without comic book pages. I was like, oh
Okay.
shit. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's good, but I looked it up in the shelf of the comic books, and they had like European stuff, which is like, oh, okay, that's good. So
Yeah.
there was Asterix and Obelix, which I was really happy about. I think I
Awesome.
saw one of the Tintins once, so which is great. So I will like always, I want him to be exposed as much as possible,
Yeah.
like what we are readers of comic books wants to do to our kids. I guess we want
Yeah.
them to feel the same way as we do, excited. So
Yeah, no,
hopefully that-
totally. Absolutely.
exactly. So
Yeah.
okay,
Cool.
right. So yeah, happy camping for Mr. Terrence.
Yes,
And
it's going to be great. Can't wait.
It's gonna be with nature. It's gonna experience the natural ways how to deal with things. You know,
Yeah.
fire, get cold, get eaten by mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, the mosquitoes are going to be brutal this year.
fishing. Maybe you're gonna catch
Yeah.
something.
Do a little bit of fishing. Yeah. We pulled out the fishing rods. We're probably going to borrow a canoe from a neighbor.
Wow.
So instead, because usually we rent one, but this will be the longest camping trip we've gone with the kids. So 10 nights is how long we're going. So that's going to be a lot of prep and a lot of, but I mean, I was surprised we were able to get the spot, because I just assumed that we left it too late. But no, we got the same spot that we've had in previous years. We got it for the entire time, and I can't wait.
Question:
fantastic.
Electricity is there or not?
Not on our site. There are sites that you can have electricity for sure. We don't choose those ones, because those ones are back further. The ones that we pick, like when we were tenting, we would tent right on the shore, so right on the lake shore. But because of our tent trailer now, we have to go one layer back. But none of those sites are electrical, so you got to make do. And then we have an outhouse right beside us too. So there's an outhouse right next door to our campsite, just for accessibility for the kids in the middle of the night, right? Instead of trekking all the way back to the main one.
So electricity not gonna happen then? Yes,
No, nothing. Yeah, I mean, I've got a Coleman lamp that it has USB. You can plug it into your car to charge it. So if you need to charge your phone, you can charge your phone. But I mean, generally when we're out there, like we're not messing around on our phones, you know, like we're out, and we're going to try to bring our bikes. We're looking for a bike rack. Yeah, glamping. That's right. Yeah. Oh man, that what's his name? Johnny Vegas, that glamping show that he did, man, was that ever funny. That was a good series.
That's
I'm looking forward to it though. So I mean, there's a town that's close, so we can kind of go in and get supplies and stuff. So we're not like backwoods camping out here, but it's still pretty isolated. Yeah.
Oh my God. But solar, if you could before, if you wanted to, but I have this the tiniest battery, which actually it was them actually for a couple of, like, because if you have sun exposure, especially if you have good weather, you always have electricity, because it charges up quite quickly with your solar panels.
Yep.
So one thing to think of next time, if you do want it electricity.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
But I highly recommend to that. These days there's very much of offers everywhere, and you can find the smallest ones or biggest ones if you do need that kind of stuff. I was intrigued. 10 nights is quite a lot of food, man. 4 people.
10 nights is a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're looking to get a new cooler that we're just going to stock with meat, but about a 20-minute drive is a place called Nestor Falls. Actually, maybe less than 20-minute drive. And there's a grocery store there. It's got a liquor store and a post office and a laundromat all attached. So it's all the whole thing. But the thing is, because it's out there and isolated, it's pretty pricey. But when it comes down to it, we always go there and just pick up very minimal stuff. We try to bring as much as we can. We just need a better cooler for the meat. There's one at Canadian Tire that we saw not too long ago. It's heavy duty and apparently keeps things frozen for like days. You know what I mean? Like the ice even itself doesn't even melt in it, right? So, but it's pricey. So that was also part of the reason we did the yard sale, to get some money for some supplies.
Cool. I heard Igloo company is very good for freezers. I don't know if
Yeah.
So those are very like high-end camping.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking camping now. Okay, we can stop this podcast.
Totally.
Thank you very much, people, whoever
Later,
you are.
everybody.
Thank you very much for the cool cats who is in the club.
Yeah, it was nice to see you all.
Anyway, so thank you very much, and we'll see you maybe not next week, but week after. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Bye.
Bye.